Should be playing the do 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 do.
Says it's being sent to a third party.
Well, looks like should be playing the do 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 do. Oh, there. Got it. We're live. Oh, get this one going. All right, we are live for Triple T number 167. 167 of these in a row on March 11th, 2025. Welcome, everybody. My name is TJ Zebel. I call myself a professional problem solver, which I always get to follow up saying, no, I don't know everything. I just have a unique way of asking lots of questions and helping people find the solutions to the challenges they are facing. It's been an interesting couple of days, but enough about that. Back to you guys. Want to welcome everybody on YouTube. Hi, Mom. And everybody else. And for those of you that are watching the recording, thank you so much for joining in. I hope you enjoy it. If you're new to Triple T, the way we run this circus is the first hour. I have 3 topics. I will do my best to make it through. And then the second hour, yes, we run 2 hours. Second hour is open mic, open platform. Anybody on the call can bring up a topic, ask a question, and I allow the people on the call to answer first because I like to learn as well. And if there's anything I feel that I can add after everybody else has, that's when I toss in my 2 centavos. See what else we got. For those of you that are watching this on YouTube, please do me all the YouTube favors. Click the subscribe button and ring the bell. Click the like button if you liked the video. If you didn't like it, please go to somebody else's page and unlike their video. Please leave some comments. I love reading the comments. I appreciate them very much. And it doesn't cost you guys anything, but it sure does help me out. Also have a website up and running that we're still changing around, having fun, making it new and improved and new. And you can go check that out at thetswb.com. thetallskinnywhiteboy.com. That is what it stands for. I don't care what you find on the internet. Mine stands for the Tall Skinny White Boy. And I get the privilege of helping people with all sorts of challenges like anxiety, phobias, PTSD, grief. I work with athletes from beginner all the way up to pro level. Teach a number of classes. I've got a class for restaurant servers, for real estate agents, for car salesmen. Quite an interesting little bevy of things on the plate. Yes, that was I don't know where that $2 word came from, but there we go. We got bevy used today. I also offer a free, that's right, no charge to you, 30-minute consultation. That's your opportunity to get a hold of me, pick my brain, and see if we are a match. And my promise to you is if we are a match, I will let you know. If we are not a match, I promise I will let you know, and I will do my best to help you find the right person to get you the solution that you are looking for. I guess it's time for us to introduce the tie of the week. I started this over a year ago, and now we're bringing back the old favorites. So this week, a couple of characters you guys may recognize.
Now I'm singing the tune in my head.
All right. So there we have the tie of the week. Now we're moving on to anybody got anything good they want to share from the last 7 days? Holly.
I got a couple things that came up. For one, I will say I went back and I've been listening to the Harry Potter. I got them on, I just borrowed them from the library digitally. And I will say, like, I've been so focused on nonfiction and the, insights you could get from that. I cannot believe how many insights I'm getting from this book I read and, many, many times before, many, many years ago. And yet I'm getting all these new things. So I will recommend everybody, you never know when an insight's going to come from, and it doesn't have to be from nonfiction. It can be from fiction too. And then the other thing that's been kind of a theme this week is the importance of, when you can, using the right tool for the job. And I'm going to say what it is I finally got for multiple things. I finally got the right tools for the job for things that I've been trying to do with the wrong tools before. And it is night and day how much easier it is when you are using the right tool for the job. So I've been stubborn and not willing to do it, but I finally sucked it up, got the right tool, and night and day difference.
And anybody that knows me and has been in my shop knows that I have a ton of tools. And I'm famously known for, if I've got a job and I know that there's a tool that would make it easier, I will go out and buy the tool for that job. Simply because if it warrants it, there are a couple of tools I'd like to have, but the return on investment on them is not quite as good as I would like. I would love to have a car lift in my shop, but the return on investment on that one is probably not in my wheelhouse at this moment, but who knows? Life has a funny way of supplying interesting stuff for me. So anybody else got anything they'd like to share?
I agree with Holly on the insights. You never know where they're going to come. And it goes to say, you can hear a quote 1,000 times, and that 1,001th time, it really makes a complete difference because of where you are. Harry Potter audiobooks are amazingly done. I could not agree more. Holly, that was great.
Well, that's also why, what do I always say about what are the 3 most expensive words anytime somebody offers to teach you something?
I know that.
Yeah. Because you're not the same person you were the first or the second or the 800th time that you learned something. Time has passed, you've changed, you've got new perspectives, new information, and there's always going to be that one where you're like, oh, that's what that means? Or, yeah. Ahas and epiphanies, we call them. Cool. Well, if nobody else has anything they'd like to share, I guess it's time for us to jump into the topics of the evening. And well, I'll announce them first and then we'll go right into it. Tonight's topics: why me, old Bandaids, and oversharing. Well, those of you that know me know that why me is kind of I've said a few times since Saturday. Apparently, somebody with a lot of ambition and who knows what else other words I would like to use, but I'm trying to keep this a family show, decided to hack my Facebook profile and changed the email and the password so I can't get in there, and took a picture from my wife's profile and changed my profile picture. And apparently today I got a certificate for being a cryptocurrency guru. Who knew? The problem is, a lot of my friends don't know it's not me. And these, I'm just going to be nice and call them pencil necks because it's not, there's a lot of other words I want to use, are saying, DM me, who is not me, for more information. So hopefully we get this straightened out before too many other people get scammed.
Is it still posted on Facebook?
Yep,
Really?
yep.
I was gonna say, as soon as they posted it, it got down while I was looking at it and telling TJ about it. So the people who were on it saw it, but I don't know if they were just trying to protect themselves or if it got taken down by Facebook.
Because I haven't seen anything posted since, sorry, I know this is totally off topic, but I haven't seen anything posted since this morning.
Yep.
This was right before this meeting, so you must be blocked.
Oh,
Yep. Anybody that squealed
Sorry.
on them, get this.
Thank you, Holly.
Apparently, I unfriended my wife. There's a clue and a half for you.
Sorry.
So, of course, I thought this would be an interesting tie-in topic. After hearing the concept of changing, why is this happening to me, to why is this happening for me? And it changes the feel, I have to admit, trying to figure out why is this happening for me? And I'm sure I'll find a couple of answers coming up. It did shave down my morning coffee time because and I was able to, apparently I got in on Instagram and changed that before they had a chance to mess with that as well, but I don't have access to Messenger or my Facebook profiles. I can't access my TSWB helps. I can't access surprise specials. None of my pages. So, why is this happening for me? Time will tell. I know that I've been spending a little more time on there than I should, could, would. Got plenty of things I should be doing. And I haven't made a whole lot of income off of Facebook. So, there is that. But it also helped me with empathizing with some of my clients who are going through other things. In fact, one of my clients today had some stuff happen, and of course, why me? And I was able to help them with, why is this happening for me? And when we went in and used some of the tools and protocols that I've been able to learn, we were able to uncover and give them some meaning to it. And they just texted me a little while ago that ahas and epiphanies are downloading at a rapid rate. So there's that. I know that part of the human experience is dealing with situations that have us asking, why me? Including the ones that we never get the answers for. And I've got a question for you guys. When is it okay to stop wondering about why it happened? I know that's a very broad question. But anybody got any ahas, epiphanies, inputs on that question? Holly.
I'm interested to hear everybody else's opinion too. Love the reframe, by the way. My first response to that is when it stops being helpful. So a lot of times when I go into a situation, if I guess, pay attention to the gut feeling, pay attention to how much your mind is racing or going still. And the question is, when you say, why is this happening for me? So reframing it that good way. When I ask that question, does it calm my racing thoughts? Does it bring me to a more centered place? Or is it causing the racing thoughts because I was already at peace and it's bringing me back out of that peace? For me, that's kind of what the rule is.
Great answer. Thanks for sharing that. Mark.
Well, again, my life philosophy is everything that happens is supposed to happen. Otherwise, it wouldn't have happened. It's what do you do with it then? Again, is it going to make you stronger? Is it going to make you more resilient? But that was supposed to happen so that you could become better from it. That you can, things happen. Again, like client doesn't show up. Instead of saying, well, why me? I'm like, okay, they weren't supposed to be here. So they call me up all apologetic, and I'm like, why are you apologizing? You weren't supposed to be here. Because if you were supposed to be here, you'd be here in my office. So, so I believe, so my life philosophy is everything that happens is supposed to happen, and again, and, if you can turn it into a positive, okay, so what'd you learn, and, but, people beat themselves up. Oh, poor, pitiful me. Why did this happen to me?
Yep.
It was supposed to. So you can learn from it. It was one of those, life lessons that maybe knocked you off your pins. And, you can grow stronger. You can grow better from it. You can become more as a result of things that were supposed to happen to you. Again, and if it didn't happen, well, it wasn't supposed to happen. So I don't, that's just how I deal with the data. You don't have to figure out the why. It's just, again, or the why might come to you. Put it on the shelf, and give it 6 months. You look back. Oh, okay, now I understand why that was supposed to happen.
Yeah.
Or the 2020 of hindsight.
Yeah. Lots of different ways you could take that one as well. And, while you were saying that, one of my squirrels, and for those of you watching for the first time, yes, I have squirrels that have squirrels that know squirrels that bring squirrels that also have squirrels. And one of the squirrels came up and reminded me while you were saying that about a way that I learned to not have road rage. And that was if I get cut off or something happens in traffic that slows me down, I get caught behind little grandma, sitting on top of her steering wheel going, why so fast? Why? So fast. I look at my guardian angel and go, all right, fine. I don't know what this was about. Probably trying to slow me down the extra 30 seconds so that when I go through the intersection, the person that ran the stop sign missed me. And I just run with that. So you guys can try that out sometime. If something happens, you get slowed down or something, probably just your guardian angel trying to slow you down a few seconds to make sure that you go through that intersection before or after that person ran the stop sign or the red light. Lenora, you had your hand up earlier.
I often try to think, if I tend to move from, it doesn't go quite like why me. Before I would have stayed there for a while and I would have spun and spun and spun for way too long. And one of the things that I found really helpful is to notice that this is a version of me that wants an answer, because when I can get it out and when I can look at it, it gives me a massive perspective shift. And it's like, and I can then look at it. Okay, what do I want to learn? What is going to make me feel better in this situation? What do I ultimately want to feel about this situation? And in that, I can diffuse it. I might not go from, gremlin style anger all the way over to rainbows and sunshine, but it can get me to move. And that I find to be very, very helpful.
Awesome. And another question that popped up: does anybody else have any other reframes on the why is this happening to me to why is this happening for me? And Mark, you got your hand up.
No, I find that one, a really good reframe actually. But if somebody's tailgating me, I just pull over and they zoom by and I'm like, I win. I don't have to get frustrated or whatever. Had an incident, I think, last summer, and some young fellow was tailgating me, and I pulled over, let him go by, and then I noticed that a couple of cars ahead of me there was a police car, and he started tailgating the police car, and didn't know it was a police car, and and the cop pulled over, and then he went zooming by, and the lights went on. I'm like, there's your karma, dude. Doesn't happen all the time, but it's kind of fun when it does.
I ain't gonna lie. Yes, there's a certain satisfaction when some people just, they're begging for a ticket and they finally get it delivered to them. Holly.
Yeah, I kind of know I know a lieutenant on the police force. I said, if you can find who did that, please give him my best.
Yes, absolutely. Holly.
So my mind is going like 5 million different ways, and we'll see what way it actually goes right now. So one of the first thoughts that came to my mind of other ways to reframe this, which I love the for me, that myself is already great, but also this book that I've read probably 3 times in the last couple months, Finding Meaning, the Sixth Stage of Grief by David Kessler. One of the things he does is he has a bunch of people who've all had something really hard happen. And the first question he asks, he'll get a big group, and the first question he'll ask is, raise your hand if you've never had something really hard happen to you. And of course, nobody raises their hand. And so one of the things he says is, why not me? I'm human. Of course, things are going to happen. This is what I signed up for. Another thing that popped into my head too is, though, why me? Do we only bring that up in the bad times in our life? Or do we say, why me? Why am I so lucky? Why do I have such great friends? What is it about the universe that I deserve to have these good friends? What is it that about me that attracts these good friends? What is it about them that brings them into my life? So the why me only really needs to be reframed if you're saying it about the negative things that might be happening in your life. But one of the things I like to pull out, and this conversation is helping me so much because it helped me figure out where I've been messing this up. For a long time, what I'd always respond with is, what lesson is the universe trying to teach me with this? And one of the things I'm learning is, and maybe the universe is trying to teach me, but one of the things that popped into my head is this idea of, we sometimes talk about emotional voyeurism when we're doing therapy work on people. And we get in there and we want to know, why am I traumatized? Why am I afraid of rats? Why am I, why do I have trouble with sleeping? Whatever it is. And for part of my pre-talk, but something that I add in is, and just so you know, as we go into this, sometimes the subconscious mind wants to be heard. It wants to tell me the story. And if that's the case, I'm here to hold the space. But sometimes the subconscious mind just wants to be anonymous, and it may just send you a color. It may send you, something that your conscious mind can't understand, something that I can't understand. And if it wants to be anonymous, I'm here to honor that as well. And one of the things that kind of popped into my head is that that's true with the why me situation as well. That sometimes the universe is sending something. I believe the universe wants us to figure out the lessons. And if we don't take the time to actually think about the lessons, we'll still learn some of it, but we can learn more if we open ourselves up, and instead of freaking out and saying, what's going on here? So instead of asking, what does the universe want to teach me? And by the way, sometimes I'm learning it's not just what it wants to teach me. Maybe it wants to teach somebody who's in my life. Maybe it's trying to teach somebody else, and I'm just part of their lesson. And maybe there isn't a lesson that needs to be taught here. Maybe it's something else that's going on. But maybe I need to honor the universe and say that same thing that I say in my pre-talk of, okay, something that's just happened in my life. If this is something I'm not supposed to understand right now, I am going to hold space and honor that and follow this to the conclusion, trusting that the universe has a good purpose for this. And if I have trouble with it, that's okay, because that doesn't mean I'm supposed to just blink and boom, I'm all right, and I don't need the help of my friends, and I don't need time to heal from it. That's not what that means. But going into that, stepping into that, saying, okay, I'm going to trust that I'm not supposed to know and that there's a reason for that, and I can go with it. But universe, if there is something that you are trying to help me understand that will help me understand this better, that will help me get the most out of this experience, I am opening myself up to those messages. And then actually, stay still. As they talk about having a pad of paper next to you when you're sleeping, because sometimes that's when the universe sends you the biggest insights, and you earn more insights by writing down the ones you get and following up and being grateful. I'm just thinking, if we do the same thing with the, why me kind of situation, turning that around to what lessons am I supposed to know if I'm supposed to know, and if I'm not supposed to know, please send me the peace to be able to honor the anonymity of that. Also, another thing too that popped into my head, I call it the Apollo 1, Apollo 11, Apollo 13 principle. So for those of you who don't know, Apollo 1 had a fire and several of the astronauts died. Apollo 11, in public at least, seemed to go really, really smoothly. And Apollo 13 was kind of a miraculous, they should have died, but they made it back. And I kind of look at our lives and just say, there are times in our life where things are going wrong in the background and we don't even know it. We have why me moments and don't even know that it's happening. And somehow, miracles happen before we even know we need the miracle, as the way I describe it. And those are our Apollo 11 moments. And then we have our Apollo 13 moments where, maybe the universe is trying to remind me, hey, you're not doing this on your own. You need to learn how to reach out to your resources, whatever it may be. But the universe is letting me know, yes, you're not alone and miracles can happen, but this is a miracle you're going to see. And then there are times where, for whatever reason, we're going to have our Apollo 1 moments where no matter how much we want that understanding and we want that miracle, it's going to end a different way. And the universe has a reason for it, and that doesn't mean we're going to understand it. So those can be, like I said, the times where I'm going to honor that the universe had its reasons for it, even if I don't understand what those reasons are, and even if it's not the outcome that I wanted to have. So anyway, that's me going for a while, but those are my thoughts.
Awesome. I love it when you share your thoughts. You've got such good stuff that flows out so easily. I'm glad you're here. And one of the things that you brought up had my squirrels jumping all over the place. And it's how we are I'm going to call it incorrectly taught to say things in the negative fashion. And the one that struck me the most the first time I heard about the reframe on it was the saying, just my luck. How many times have we been taught, by example, by whatever, something goes bad, and what do we say? Ah, it's just my luck. Flat tire. But you're right, Holly. We need to say it more and more when things go right. And that's one thing that I've changed in my life is little wins, we'll call them, whatever. Big wins. Now I say, wow, that's just my luck. I find something I've been looking for at stupid price. Just my luck. Building something and I have just enough materials to do it. Like virtually 0.05% waste. Just my luck. Because that's how it works out. And I think we need to spread the word on that even more. Because when your energy, your body, your subconscious, all the above realizes that your luck isn't bad luck. Your luck is good luck. That's just my luck. Things work out. Yes, that's just my luck. I get the perfect parking spot at a busy place. Why? Because that's just my luck. I come up with an idea to do Triple T and I make it 167 episodes. Why? Because that's just my luck. Any other ahas, epiphanies, things you guys might want to add to that, Lenora?
I did have to pop off for a quick second. So Holly, I'm going to go back and listen to what you said about Apollo 1 and the other Apollos, because I have no doubt that it was gold. The way that you said earlier that the subconscious, what I typed it in the chat, the subconscious mind is wanting to be heard. Oh my gosh, I feel like you've said this before, but it definitely exploded in my brain. And I love that you had shared that if you're supposed to know, you can open yourself up and you trust the fact that you're not supposed to know yet. Love that. Oh my gosh, it's huge. Thank you.
That's what I love about this. You can hear something 28 times and somebody here will say it the 29th time and all of us will be like, oh, yes. So Holly, what else you want to share with us?
Once again, a million more things coming up as everybody's talking. Another thought that came to my mind, just kind of specifically with this situation, I was thinking again of Terran Wanderer. I know I've talked about that before. It's from the Chronicles of Prydain. There's this character, basically, he's really, really lucky, but then Terran actually spends time with him, and it just turns out he makes everything lucky. He approaches everything with, how can I make this lucky? Which that phrase, how is this lucky for me? And I was just thinking, if we want to apply it to this specific situation, isn't it lucky that you had this happen now before you blew up even more and you had a lot more stuff on Facebook to lose and a lot more followers who could have gotten hurt? And isn't it lucky that you were able to have this experience and teach the rest of us that warning before any of us got bigger and had people who could have really gotten hurt? Or another example that came to my mind is not that long ago, a couple weeks ago, I slept through my alarm and didn't get into work on time. I got into work like 4 hours late. And so they do give you a thing that get in late. It doesn't completely make up for it, but you could stay late. And I stayed late, and the person who was supposed to be there in the morning wasn't there. There was only basically one other person. And if I hadn't been there, that person would have been trying to figure out all of the, keep the specimens okay and whatever. So even though it wasn't what I wanted, even though if I could have controlled the universe, I would have said, you are going to get me to work every day on time. I hate the embarrassment of being late. I hate the embarrassment of sleeping through my alarm. It was the right thing that day. Somebody needed to be there that time period, and the universe arranged for me to be there. So how is this lucky? How did this make the world better?
Wow. Awesome. Mark.
Yeah, again, something hit home this morning when I was in the hospital room with the wife, and the other patient, the nurses were going in and talking to him, and I remembered what you had said, because she asked him, so on a scale of 10, what's your level of pain? And I was like, oh, I so wanted to jump over there and say what you would say. I was like, no, it's somebody else. It's not me. It's not my wife. So, but I was like, but sure enough, that came, roaring out of my subconscious. And, oh, no, you shouldn't ask him that question. So,
Yeah.
yeah, just, again, maybe I'd never have another chance to say it, but I had it right there. I was like, yeah, no.
I apparently don't have that muscle. I've talked to a number of them, and for those of you that are watching for the first time, trying to figure out what we're cryptically talking about, is if you know anybody in the medical, dental, profession, EMTs, tell them, please, beg them, stop asking what is your level of pain on a scale of 1 to 10. Stop it, stop it, stop it, stop it. Teach them to ask them, what is your comfort level on a scale of 1 to 10? 10 is sheer bliss. You're feeling amazing. 1 is absolutely miserable. Why? Subconscious, when you ask that question, wants to look for what you've asked for. What's your level of pain? It's going to look for any pain in the body, and they want a big number if you're feeling bad. Well, now you've just made it worse. If you ask, what is your comfort level? 10 is sheer bliss, but you're feeling horrible. And so you say, my comfort level is a 2. We know 2 is a small number. And I've been proving this for a long, in fact, when I had, I'll be with you in just a bit, Lenora. When I had my varicose vein operation, the first time they asked me what my pain level was, I corrected them every time. And I said, you don't have to believe me. You've got an entire floor of people that you can test this theory on. I'm going to be here for a couple of days, apparently. Let me know how it goes. And sure enough, day 2, day 3, they came in and they're like, that really works. I'm like, just saying. So there, you got that one for free. Lenora.
So this is going to go hand in hand with how lucky am I? I came across these the other day and they're just too cute. I'm going to try and show you at least to get you started. It's Winnie the Pooh, and it goes, how lucky am I to have a sink full of dishes and a belly full of food? How lucky am I to have an unmade bed full of big dreams? How lucky am I to be unsure of what comes next because my options are so plentiful? How lucky am I to sit with a drink that my feels refreshed and just thinking? How lucky am I to walk through a windy day and worry about my messy hair? How lucky am I to have feelings so deep they could fill oceans? And it goes on for a bit more. And it's just a beautiful way to reframe so many things when you simply put, how lucky am I? And I will always encourage people to, if you're doing this, notice your tone.
Yes.
Because if you're using just my luck, wow, this is great, versus just my luck, wow, this is great, it's going to change
Amen.
the entire thing. So notice your tone, especially the tone in your head.
Yes. Couldn't agree more. In fact, it reminds me of a nighttime prayer that it was, thank you for the soreness in my body, meaning that I was able to work hard today. Thank you for the dishes in my sink, meaning reflecting the good meal that I got to enjoy. Thank you for, and so many people are like, well, that doesn't make sense. Well, not with the traditional thinking, the way people have been led to believe. But I many times have, at the end of the night, been grateful for the soreness in my body because I reflected on what I did that day that made my body that sore. Now, if you're sore because you were walking down the road and somebody swerved and hit you with a car, you don't have to be quite as sore for that soreness, or quite as thankful for that soreness. But you could also say, thank God I can feel this. I'm still alive. I could be dead right now. So there are lots of different ways to change the tone of why me into why not me in the proper directive. And just like I said when we started, now I realize I've got 17 minutes to cover 2 more. Because it goes just like that with this amazing tribe. Anything else you guys want to add before I try to fit in 2 more?
Let's see if you can do it.
Whee! Why me?
How lucky are you? You've got 17 minutes left.
Yes, I am that
Plenty
lucky.
of time.
Moving on to old Bandaids. And I'm going to apologize to a certain line of professionals here, because I've offended a few of them over the years. And Mark is in that profession, but he is one of the few that I know that has taken it beyond the old-timey traditions and researched other tools to add to the profession. Yay! And the reason I call this old Band-Aids is I've had quite a number of clients who have invested quite an amount of time, resources, and money to get help with certain professionals. And the way that I summed up the visits that they have been doing over the years was, hi, welcome back. Okay, let's peel back the Band-Aid and check out that wound that you got 5, 10, 20 years ago. And we're just going to dig in it. And I want you to tell me again how much it hurts. Tell me what happened. How did you get that wound? Oh, yeah, dig in there deep. Oh, yeah, describe the pain to me for the 500th time. Yeah, oh, look, we're out of time. Okay, put the Band-Aid back on. I'll see you next week for the next 4 years. And all they did was talk about how bad the experience was that they went through without finding solutions, going to the source, discharging energies. If we wanted to refer to the first one. So why did this happen to you? Why does this keep happening to you? So for the next week, I want you to just to go home and write about why me? Lenora. Microphone.
Bananas.
Banana.
For the record, before anybody pops off, that's not what working with any of us is like, and that's not what working with TJ is like. It's nothing like that. I'm just gonna put that disclaimer right there, and please proceed.
And for the record, that's not what working with Mark is like either.
I said any of us. Yeah.
Yeah, but definitely Mark, the best part is Mark has the certificate that allows you to go to him with insurance. I don't get that privilege.
That's an excellent point.
Yeah. I'm still classified under witch doctor or somewhere in there. And that's okay, because when I wave a chicken, we have lunch later. Mark.
Yeah, I get that. When I used to work at the clinic, people would be in my office, they'd be learning, they'd be laughing, and the other therapists are like, what, are you having a party in there? I said, yeah, aren't you? They want to recapitulate old wounds, past lost loves, lost opportunities, family drama. They just want to, you keep recapitulating it, bringing it back up. And I still think that most people feel worse after a therapy session than they do before they walk in the door, because all you're doing is churning it all up again and recapitulating it, re-experiencing all the negative feelings, the negative states. And I'm like, yeah, that's not how I do it. Oh, what happened last week? Oh, how'd you feel about that? That would be anathema. And I had a new client today, hence the time, that she said, yeah, again, that she'd been, again, I can be that if somebody wants me to be, pure vegetarian, but most people, like I said, they get better. And, the core of it is that, why keep bringing up the past? Like I said, the past is gone, as we all know, and it can't hurt us or harm us unless we keep re-experiencing it. And, I'd much rather teach people how to control their state, manage their state. State control is at the core of what I teach. So, and thanks to TJ and other folks along the way, that's how I do what I do. And yes, I can even fit hypnosis under a little checkbox I have on my progress note called mindfulness. So I can even get paid for that. So, oops, did I say that with my outer voice? But yeah, that's why, my new clients like, you've been doing this for so long. How can you just stay so passionate? I said, I'm just having a blast helping people live lives free of anger, sadness, fear, and anxiety. And that's how I stay passionate about what I do every day.
Yes, and that's why I absolutely applaud you for going out and finding the new tools, the new approaches to add to your toolbox. I I got into an argument in San Diego with somebody that we were friends with who is a very devout old style psychiatrist, and long story short, I asked him how long it would take to get somebody over severe arachnophobia. He let me know that it would be a very long time. A very long time. And I said, not with what I do. I cured a guy in under 5 minutes in front of his friends and had him cleaning up cobwebs with his bare hands. And this guy lost his. No, you can't do that. He was just, he didn't know what. And I went, oh, don't tell my clients that, because they still seem to think that they got change to this day. My goal, our goal, is not to keep the old Band-Aid on. It's to cure the wound and throw the Band-Aid in the trash. Teaching things like we talk about on Triple T. Why me versus why not me? Why is this happening to me? Why is this happening for me? Any other, Holly?
I just had a download that there's a Bible verse that I'd never really understood. It talks about no man putteth a piece of new cloth on an old garment, for that which is put basically makes the rent worse, and you don't put new wine in old bottles. And I never really understood that, but I just had this thought that it's kind of like this old Band-Aid scenario. And there's a reason why we say after you've worked with somebody, don't let them go out immediately, because they're still highly susceptible to any suggestions. Keep them safe in your, office, whatever. Anyway, the thought came to me that the old Band-Aid is very much like we go in, we do a session, we clean out all of the gunk. And then what we do is we go right back into the atmosphere that installed all of that bad programming in the first place. We get around people who don't respect our boundaries and who say negative things to us, or, we just have anchors in our house. I know that's one for me. I need to change where I live. But, I was just thinking that's very much like an old Band-Aid as well. When we clean ourselves out and then we go right back into the same situations that installed the problems in the first place and just reinstall it. And it's like we didn't do any of the work in the first place.
Yeah, absolutely. Mark?
Yeah, what Holly said is, when you do the work correctly, I think you inoculate them against any future infection.
Mm-hmm. Very much so. And that's one of the things that I like about working with clients virtually, is being able to work with them in their domain, in their household, because they don't have to go anywhere. They can open their eyes changed in a familiar environment. Anybody else got anything they want to add? Yes, Lenora.
I caught a piece of that, so I had to step away. From my experience, especially when it comes to this kind of change work, and depending on the topic that you're talking about, I found it very helpful I'm somebody who loves to record my sessions, and I know somebody who just popped on who does not, he likes to record, but he does not watch his recording. I'm somebody who will have a session with somebody and then I will rewatch the recording, because for me, it helps me and it helps amplify and deepen the changes that I've made. So very specifically, very early on when I was working with a variety of people, TJ included, I would listen to the recording, but if it was about a specific person that was coming up, I didn't talk to that person. And it was super easy because I didn't turn my phone on. It was during the height of COVID. So I was able to give myself distance and process through that without it feeling like it was getting reopened when I was talking to a person that I was literally trying to resolve an issue with in the work that we were doing. So it really is to each their own. Some people are pretty good. Other people like to process in their own way. And I would highly encourage anybody to explore what they find helpful after each session and also what they didn't find helpful after each session.
Absolutely. In fact, my talk this year in Vegas at HypnoThoughts Live 2025 is on recording everything. Cover your assets and record everything. And I go over a lot of the different reasons why and how to properly store them, store the recordings. And if your clients want a copy of the recording, all of that. But enough of that. Anybody else got anything they want to share on old Bandaids before I try to squeeze one more in with 3 minutes left? Oversharing. Let's dive into this super quick. Especially for my triple P, my perfect partner protocol clients, a number of them are learning about the concept of oversharing, especially when meeting somebody new, and ways to prevent that, because we all want to be found interesting. And thanks, Elijah. State break. Yeah. Where was I? Okay. And one of the things that I offered up for my clients regarding oversharing was, again, the quote that it's in the same amount of time, you can either make 2 new friends by letting them know how interesting you are, or you can gain 100 new friends by being interested in them. We always have this urge to hear a story and go, oh, here's my version. Here's about me. Look how interesting I am. Look. There's always going to be time for that. But if we take the time, especially in the beginning, to be a level of mysterious, let them talk. If they ask you a question, give them a quick little answer and back to them. One of the things we hear a lot is people won't remember what you told them as much as they will remember how you made them feel. And by oversharing, oftentimes we make them feel competed against, or possibly not nearly as interesting as you are. And I will be openly transparent. I have shot myself in the foot a number of times. Because those of you that know me well know that I have lived a very interesting life with many experiences, many different fields of interest and knowledge. And I don't give them a chance to one-up me sometimes. And it's taken me a little while to catch on that the less I make it about me, the more they remember me when I come back. I'll say it again. The less I make it about me, the more they remember me when I come back. Any input on that, being we are 1 minute over the first hour? Ahas, epiphanies, opinions, anybody? If not, all right, well, bing, just over the time limit. For those of you that are watching for the first time, thank you for sticking around. This is where we shift gears and move into the second hour, where it's open mic, open platform. Anybody on the call can bring up a topic or ask a question, and everybody on the call gets to answer first. So here's the fun part where I say, who's got a question? And we see how long the dead silence sits. Holly.
I've got a question I've been pondering this last week. So when it comes to human beings, the way we perceive the world tends to be more relative than absolute. So to give an example of what I mean by that, let's say I told you it's 65 degrees Fahrenheit out. I don't know what that is in Celsius. I should have looked that up. But if it's the middle of summer and I've been having triple digit weather all day, every day for 5 weeks, that's going to be really, really cold. Mm-hmm. But if I've been in the middle of winter and it's been 33 degrees every single day for 5 weeks, that's going to be really, really warm. So, that's just one example, but, let's talk about pain. If, a woman has just given birth and she's, relaxing afterwards, a level that she might consider relaxing and comforting might be a pain level that if she were, having a regular day on another day that was no level of pain, might be a lot of pain. So, but it's comforting because it's lower than what she was experiencing. And I mean, light levels, just about everything. So what I'm curious about is, why do you think we are built that way? And then the other question that came out, because I was thinking, well, clearly you can get a measurement with a thermometer. But then this idea came in, yeah, but whether it's a thermometer or a ruler or whatever, it has to go through a calibration process to be able to do that. And so, one, what is the value to perceiving things in a relative way? And two, is there a value for us going through calibration processes more frequently so that we could get more absolute understanding of the world rather than relative? Or is that even valuable? I don't know. I'm just throwing stuff out there, but it's been on my mind a lot.
Good question. Who has something for Miss Holly?
Are you talking about how we calibrate ourselves, or if there's a specific calibration tool?
So I would say both. So first of all, is there value to doing a calibration on ourselves? And second of all, how would you calibrate yourself?
Oh, okay. Love that. I think that there definitely is a way to calibrate ourselves, because it would go down, to me at least, how you're feeling mentally, physically, spiritually, emotionally. Do you feel that you are in a your truly balanced state? And the reason I would include all of those is because all of those can impact how you feel. So if you're intentionally living, I want to feel good mentally, I want to feel good emotionally, I want to feel good physically. And as the days go, you kind of jive back and forth, but ultimately doing your best to achieve that balance. So yes, I do think that there is a calibration. And for me, it would go down to how I feel generally. And then if it was about a specific topic, because I could feel really good about one topic and I could feel like crap about another topic. So if I'm feeling like crap about it, and I know that I have the tools to navigate myself effectively, I will then go in after what's bothering me. And usually what's bothering me is pretty loud. So to stop things and go tend to that.
Good answer.
Like, did that help, Holly?
Absolutely. Like I'm writing. So thank you.
Oh, good.
Mark.
Yeah, I think, Holly, that human beings, they are, they get bored really easily, and so it's, like the temperature, today is, again, it almost hit 60 and people are walking around in shorts and everybody's got their motorcycle out today, on the streets, because we haven't seen, 50s and 60s for a while. So I think appreciation comes from, those, when things aren't too regular and boring, like, I heard that, like in San Diego, it's sunny and 72, partly sunny and 70, mostly sunny and 71, and when it rains in San Diego, people come out of the buildings and look up, wow, it's rain, because I think that for human beings to have appreciation, and this can generalize to other things, we got to have a variability and we got to have some, something, they said we can appreciate, I can appreciate, the summer, I can, but when it hits triple digits, I can, I can reframe and say, well, it could be snowing, because that's coming. So, or when it's, below zero, we're like, oh, well, spring's on its way. So, but I think to have, but I think human beings are kind of wired to appreciate a wide variety of things rather than regularity, and because I think we get bored very easily.
I agree. Good answer. Mike.
Had a conversation about this exact topic with another individual. Um, she was stating that at oh shoot, it looked like when they were training pilots, they stated that instead of doing positive feedback, they would always do negative feedback. Because if you get positive feedback, then invariably the next time that you land, it's not going to be as good as that. So then it creates a failure mechanism to be able to say, okay, you were great, but now you didn't do as well. So they return back to using negative feedback. But the more of the concentration should be on the mean or the average of the performance of the pilot. As long as the mean is increasing, then that is really where all the data really is. Because there's always going to be the return to mean, which is that you're going to have some highs, you're going to have some lows. The return to mean is always the average in the middle. And it's monitoring that mean in improvement is, I think, what you're looking for calibration and comparison. Would that be correct, Holly?
I would say yes. Sorry, my mind is like going so many different ways with what you're saying. I'm just trying to process it all, but that sounds right. Yeah.
Thanks.
And Elijah put a really good answer in the chat. Those of you on YouTube or watching the recording don't get to see that. Sorry. join us. Elijah, did you want to elaborate on that, or one little thing that popped up when Holly was talking about this that applies, or one example I have. A lot of you know that I grew up in Minnesota then, yeah, but now I live in Dallas, Texas. And one of my ongoing jokes for most of my life is, what's the coldest part of winter in Minnesota? The front side of winter. Because on the front side of winter, 40 degrees is freaking cold. But on the back side of winter, 40 degrees is a tank top and shorts, sweeping the slush off your sidewalk, going, it's a beautiful day. Because after you have survived a Minnesota winter, 40 degrees is a very nice day. And now that I'm living in Dallas, Texas, when I tell people that during the summer, we cool our house to 80 degrees because it's triple digits out. But in the wintertime here, it does get cold, and we heat our house to 65 because it still feels nice and warm when you come inside. And taking this to a culinary example, and for those of you that are pure vegan, you might want to mute the sound for a little bit, but the way that they cook frogs is they put the frogs in cool water in the pan and then put the pan on low heat. And the frogs don't notice the heat change until they're cooked, till it's too late. And so there's that part of what are we able to get accustomed to? What is considered a large contrast, especially for change? When I talk to some of my clients regarding income and income limitations and things of that nature, for some of them, the idea of making triple digit income in a year way beyond their scope. For others, like they say, for self-made millionaires, what was the hardest part about becoming a millionaire, especially a multimillionaire? The first million. Because of the contrast and who they had to become to be somebody that can make that kind of money. And so just like, in fact, I just had a flashback, a squirrel delivered a memory. When I was in college in Minnesota, yeah, we had a blizzard coming in, and it was about 20 below without the wind chill. And I was working, finished work, and it was like 2 a.m. I'm hungry in a small town where nothing is open except Taco Hell and a few other. So I decided to go through Taco Hell and get a chalupa or something, whatever. And the voice on the drive-through speaker had a very strong accent. And when I got there, there was a young gentleman dressed in a jacket dealing with uh, the the open window to try and hand out warm food to keep it warm enough in a 20 below blast cooler. And I knew he wasn't from anywhere around here, so I asked him where he was from. He was from South Africa. He had never seen weather like this, even in his worst nightmares. And I asked him how it was going, and he said, I'm going home. I'm going home. This is hell. Frozen hell. I am going home. You are nuts to live here. You're crazy, crazy, crazy. And I couldn't argue with him because of the drastic change. And school had started in the fall. So he came to Minnesota from South Africa just in time for the temperature to into one of our colder winters. So yes, the what is relative, what is absolute. For that man, it was relatively absolute that the weather was not anything he wanted to experience, be part of, or stay around any longer. And he knew that he could get colleging somewhere else that didn't have ground frozen 5 feet under. So hopefully that little part helped as well. Did you get answers to your question, Holly?
Oh, definitely. Now I have like 15 follow-up questions for everything you
Good.
said, but I'll wait and let others ask questions first.
Lenora.
One thing that I found also very helpful was the part that's asking questions. I do love parts. I think it's a phenomenal way to help people have a conversation when they're not sure who's going back and forth. I literally make a version of it and I bring it out, and it has been completely pivotal. And I find that sometimes the worry version of myself decides to wake up in the morning, and she's a bit of a scutch, if you could believe it or not. And when I'm able to point out, oh, that's not me, that's a part of me, somebody else is worried, it's not who I like to be. And I find a variety of things to be helpful. So I do consider personal growth and being spiritual an aspect of it. I think of it as mental and emotional care, but I also take into consideration everything. So the physical, as in how am I moving? Also, what am I eating? And how is it impacting me? And I really noticed a huge difference for me in my mental clarity and my emotional clarity, and in how I physically move around and how I deal with stress a number of years ago, somewhere in 2019, 2020. And when I started to pay closer attention and eat much more real, actual food that can expire in a week, when I started eating more meat, when I would eat regular fresh berries or something like that, I felt different. And the reason that was so important to me is because I literally had a different digestion tract. And our digestion, our stomach is so important to our well-being that there really is new information coming out constantly. But to me, it really goes along with the second brain. And if anybody knows anything about any type of digestion, it's something that you might want to consider, because of how much intelligence is in the stomach. And when you can really start looking at your digestion of how am I processing life? How am I processing my food? Is this feeling good to me? Or am I waking up and I'm not feeling good? It becomes much more effective and much more clear for me to navigate the world. So when I go through the holidays, and if I'm not paying attention and I have way more processed foods, way more sugars, way more delicious stuff that are clearly over the top delicious and just not meant to be consumed in the amount that sometimes I enjoy them, I feel different. And I wake up and I feel like crap. And then I have to kind of burn through it for a number of days. And the reason that is so important is because when I'm in that space, I don't ignore it. And I really try to study it and say, okay, what can I learn from this? What can I take away from this? So for me, I know, Holly, you had asked about calibration. Digestion is something that I take into consideration. And if we're feeling stressed about the things that are going on, whether it's our job, our finances, our relationships, we will quite literally not digest our food in the way that we're meant to. So how we're digesting our food is also how we're digesting life. Are we able to process it? Are we able to really let it move through us? The external is a representation to the internal. I think it's, what is it, the microcosm to the macrocosm, or as above, so below.
Yep.
Same exact concepts. And when you're wanting to notice if you're calibrated, pay attention to how you physically feel. Do you feel like you can move? Do you feel like you can sit comfortably? Are you in a good position? Then continue on. Okay, this is stable. I'm hydrated. I feel like I've processed my food. I feel like the food that I'm eating is supporting me. Where are my mental thoughts? The crappier my intake is, the crappier my thoughts are, to the point that I blatantly, people can clearly tell, and I will blatantly tell my husband, don't come near me because I'm not a nice person. And I literally will just box myself in because I will take it out on people because I'm so uncomfortable inside. So it's just something to help contribute to this whole concept of how calibrated are we? And it really is something to pay attention to, because I'm convinced, don't arrest me, but food companies don't give a shit about you. And it's unfortunate. It really is. Farmers care about you, because farmers, to the best of their ability, will care about you because they're still also trying to put food on their table. Find the ones that are like you. Find the ones that the way that you care about yourself, other people do that too, or else the us wouldn't come together each week. Find the ones that care and go to those to continue to support you and use them as part of your network. You will find yourself to be much more calibrated, not just digestively, not just as you sleep, which is a huge impact mentally and emotionally. By the way, I made my own cottage cheese for the first time, and it was a mess the first time. Exploded all over the place. It was a hot, hot mess the first time I made it. However, I made a second batch today, and it went so well.
Congratulations. That's the part of learning, and it ties right into the segue that I wanted to tag onto this. Those that know me well know that I have preached for many, many years. How many times should you try every type of food? 3 times. Why 3 times? Bad cooks, bad ingredients. And if you've tried them, if you tried something 3 times and it sucked all 3 times, you don't ever have to try it again, because there's so much good food out there. But I challenge people all the time. I get pushback all the time, and I'll ask them, kind of to paraphrase what Elijah had put in the chat. I love when people challenge me on that process. I'll say, okay, fine. So what's one of your favorite foods? And let's say they say pizza. People that know me, pizza. Oh yes, pizza. But I'll ask them, have you ever had a pizza that was like, or even, and if you've eaten enough of it, yes, you have. And I'll ask them, okay, so if that was the first, yeah, see, Elijah, I only tried pizza once and it was bad, never again. The challenge is, if that's how, yeah, okay, fine, yes. But I'll tell them, so if the first 2 times you had pizza, it was or less, would it still be your favorite food? Well, no. That's why you try everything 3 times. And as we talked about protective empathy, people have good days and bad days. You'll meet somebody and you're like, what a frickin' pencil neck. And other people are like, no, they're great. Well, maybe you met them on a bad day. Maybe they were just having a rough go at it. But if they're a pencil neck to you 3 times in a row, it's okay. Lots of people on the planet, they can be off with their own little tribe. Holly, got your hand up.
I have kind of a follow-up question to what you just said, and you already answered half of it. But I was going to say, like, just like food with people, do you need to try them on, 3 different types of, they might be a member of your tribe or something. But because you mentioned bad chefs, bad ingredients, if you try the same food from the same chef 3 different times, that doesn't really count as trying it 3 different times.
Yes.
I was just wondering, when we're talking about people in a tribe, how can we make sure that we're not, how do I want to put this, trying the same person in the same, like, say they just don't do well in loud environments or something. Like, how can we make sure that we're giving people a fair try and that it's not really just the same try over and over again, but really was 3 different situations?
I'm going to break my second hour protocol here real quick with this one, because part of it can be environmental. Like, there are people that love certain types of food because that's what they grew up with. And like, I'm still trying to figure out how to like kimchi, even though kimchi is basically sauerkraut. Now, I'm from Minnesota. Sauerkraut, yes. On the other hand, kimchi, I didn't grow up with the exorbitant amount of fish. And to me, kimchi that I've had so far has that flavor like somebody accidentally dropped, they didn't realize that they dropped a chunk of fish in there and it spoiled poorly. When we're talking about people, yes, the fish sauce. I'm still trying to develop a flavor for fish sauce. But when it comes to people, there are certain areas of the world that may have talking styles or ways of looking at things that don't jive with you. I like to joke that Jersey and New Yorkers have made themselves a bit of a reputation. Not all of them, but some of them have made themselves a bit of a reputation for being a little aggressive, a little raw. And so if you've got somebody who is more sensitive, say from some of our more sensitive areas of, like, say, California or something, and they go hang out with some people from Jersey, they might get their feelings hurt a little bit. It might be a little too spicy for them. And so we have to use a little protective empathy to also look at what are we accustomed to and what are they accustomed to. Just like with food, kimchi, or there's also Thai food. My wife goes into a Thai restaurant and they say, how hot would you like it on a scale of 1 to 10? And she goes 11. And they're like, oh, you didn't understand the question. How hot do you want it? She's like, you don't know me. 11. And then they ask me, and I'm like, I'm from Minnesota, so I'm going to go with like a 4. Because growing up in Minnesota, Heinz ketchup has a little bite to it. And I've gotten much better since because I've traveled enough. But so there's another comparison. On to you guys, please. Who else has an answer for Miss Holly?
Holly, you had asked, how do you know if you keep giving people another chance?
I had asked that. If it's okay, I think I'm going to expand it based on TJ's answer
Yes.
too. How do we do that balance of, how am I going to put this, of also making sure that we're not just going for comfort and getting ourselves in an echo chamber and, or only going for people who are just like us in our tribe. Like, how do we determine, like, this person's genuinely like toxic and disrespecting boundaries versus this person has a different communication style than me, kind of like, the New Jersey, California example that TJ gave. Or if you want, the analogy that came into my mind too is also kind of like with food. Sometimes we should be expanding our palate for our health, and instead of eating for taste, how often are we eating for taste versus we're eating for health as well? So yeah, how often when we're testing people do we know we're giving them 3 tries, and it's not just that I gave them a try on Monday and their dad died on Sunday and then I give them another try on Tuesday and their dad still died 2 days ago, and I give them another try on Wednesday and their dad still died 3 days ago, as an example. So yeah, how do I give somebody a fair chance and that sort of thing?
For me, my first instinct was to suggest, and this goes for anybody, to reflect on how well you trust yourself and you trust listening to yourself, because your guidance is going to help you. So if you find that, and to use people that are already in your tribe, that already know you really well, if you need them. So for example, if I've met somebody for the first time and I'm seeing like how well of a good friend that they might be in my life, I'll see them in different scenarios. Like oftentimes I'll meet somebody at a facility and I'll start talking to them. And then if we end up having each other's phone number, how are they via text? Do they respond? Do they not respond? Do they send memes? Do they not send memes? Do they have a sense of humor? Do we have things in common? So I find it to be an evolution of learning about them, as in always testing, but also trusting myself to say, yeah, let's keep seeing how this friendship is, or I wonder if they would be interested in this, and seeing where that goes. And I would keep reflecting back on, how does this feel to me? Does this feel like it's a good friend? Does it feel like they're showing characteristics of other people that I've experienced in my life that I don't need to revisit the scenario? And are they kind of a pop quiz from the universe? Or is this something that I want to keep exploring and seeing what kind of person this is? And to really see them in a variety of scenarios. So, yes, on the phone. Yes, in a group setting. Yes, can we hang out one on one and have a conversation? Can we go out to eat and have a conversation? Is there a lull? Is there a back and forth? Those are the types of things that are important to me that I look for. So even if I'm learning about somebody new on Triple T, I know that I've spent lots of times with you guys separately from Triple T, but even in those conversations, where is the conversation going? Is it surfacing? Is it surface level, or is it really satisfying to me? See, Elijah just popped something in. So it really just depends on how you feel as you keep testing. Elijah put, Liam found a shiny new toy car and thought, this is my favorite toy ever. But last week he said that about his robot. Grandpa chuckled. Feelings can be like waves. They change fast. Want to know which ones to trust? Liam nodded. First, wait a little. True feelings stay. Second, ask. There's a bubble there. Is this real, or is this just exciting right now? Third, remember past times. Did this happen before? Lastly, check with someone you trust. Later, Liam still loved his car, but he smiled. I like my robot too. Grandpa winked. That's fair judgment, kiddo.
Yep. Another thing I was going to add to that, one of the suggestions, I don't call it homework anymore, suggestions that I give my clients is 3 journals. And you guys have heard this before, but one of them applies to this, is your journal for your tribe. And we had talked about this on Triple T before, about building your tribe with intention. There are so many people on this planet that when you meet people, and ABT, always be testing, always be testing. Yes, you can apply the 3-time rule, like with food. Testing to see what kind of a card they are. You know, what can they offer you? What can you offer them? Are they allowed on the kingdom ground? Are they allowed inside the city walls? Are they allowed in the castle? Are they allowed to sit at the head table? All the above. And that's one of the advantages to getting really good with the trifecta and being able to meet and assess people efficiently to see who they are. Again, with the oversharing, let them be the ones that overshare. Get them talking. Test their energy. See, like Lenora said, how do they make you feel a number of different times? And like you had pointed out, Holly, just like with food, you don't get to judge it by taking 3 bites off the same plate. That's not testing 3 times. You don't get to judge it purely by, I had this food 3 times made by the same person. You have to be able to diversify your testing to get decent results. and figure out what's important to you. That's what you put in the journal. What are you looking for? What's important to you about certain people in your tribe? Does that help?
Yeah. I have this, it's funny. We've gone through so many different places, and this constant theme seems to be emerging of, for those who've listened to Jordan Peterson talk a lot, this idea of balancing between order and chaos just keeps coming up in my mind. And, the kind of people I have in my tribe, am I going into the order of staying with the same old people with the same old traits, or do I go into the chaos of experiencing new people? Or, like with food, do I stay with the order of eating the same food all the time, or the chaos of trying new things? Anyway.
I heard something this week and I thought it was very interesting. And they were talking about your comfort zone. And when you try something new, rather than considering it, you moved out of your comfort zone expanded. And I thought that was a really interesting twist.
Yeah. It's kind of like when I say there are certain people that they just want a cheese sandwich. And there's nothing wrong with a cheese sandwich. I enjoy a good cheese sandwich. But when you point out the whole buffet to them, they're like, "Oh no, that's for them other people. You don't know what happens out there. Like my cheese sandwich, that I know what to expect every time." And I feel sorry for them in a way, but I also want to respect them in a way. If that's as far as they can go into their calling their life a life, it's like having a book, but every page has the same sentence. Like, oh, good. You've went 72 years writing a book, but you put the same sentence on every page. But that's them. Holly.
Yeah, it's funny what TJ was just saying reminded me of something I wrote in my notes earlier about, and this was when we were talking about why me, but did we come to Earth to have an Earth experience, whatever you want to call it, to be bored and have life be easy? Like if you think of it as we designed a computer game, would you play the computer game where you wake up, you have plenty of money, and nothing ever goes wrong? You go to sleep, you wake up, you have plenty of money, you don't have to do anything, you have no problems to solve, you go to sleep. How long would you play that video game before you said, "This is boring, I'm done"? So that was one thought. But then the other thought that came into my mind, I don't think safety is the goal of life, but I do think that a certain amount of safety, if and I'm talking about real safety, we can't accomplish things if we don't have resources. And sometimes part of that resource is keeping ourselves safe. And this thought came to me of too much comfort or too much chaos, or you could call it too much change or too much the same or whatever. Either one can be dangerous. And the thought came to my mind. I was thinking, for those of you who are familiar with, I can't remember what it's called, With Love with Meghan or something, Meghan Markle's new show. I haven't actually seen it, but I saw some commentary, and the comment that keeps coming up over and over and over again is that because she has so many yes men around her, or yes women, whatever you want to call it, and she's gotten rid of anybody who tells her something she doesn't want to hear, that's why all of her projects turn into such disasters.
Yep.
And I was thinking that's just kind of, not to pick on her specifically, but I think that's the perfect example of too much comfort and staying the same and wanting just to feel good can be very dangerous and can actually lead to disaster too.
100%. And to use another metaphor, when you look at trees, they tried growing trees in a dome, a protected dome, and a number of the trees failed. They were still growing, but they were growing on the ground. They would fall over, they were weak. And it took them a while to understand the trees needed the wind pushing them back and forth, one, to strengthen the root system, but two, to strengthen the fibers inside of them as they grew.
Isn't there a Bible story about that where, and I'm trying to look it up fast enough, and I hope somebody here knows it, where the wheat was growing, and because it didn't rain much, man was mad at God. And God said, okay, well, if you think you can do better, you do better. And so man made the perfect weather system, and they had great crops that year. And the next year, they didn't have great crops, and I don't think anything grew. And it was because man changed the weather versus allowing God to handle the weather. Because when weather is involved and winds and changes and all these elements, it does strengthen the system. Please tell me I'm not making that one up. I know I can't be making that one up.
Yeah, and just like you look at some of the trees, especially like on coastlines, when they look at the strength of those trees because of the immense winds that they put up with, that wood is very prized because the growth rings are very tight. The wood is very, very strong. And Elijah put a really cool quote in here from William Blake, auguries of, is it auguries of innocence? Is it right? It should be so. Man was made for both joy and woe. And when this we rightly know, through the world we safely go. It is right, it should be so. Man was made for both joy and woe. And when this we rightly know, through the world we safely go. William Blake. Cool. Okay, kids. Anything else to add to this amazing topic? Thank Holly.
As I add to my own topic, I was trying to find Lenore's story, and I found a different story that I thought was absolutely great. When and this kind of goes back to the why me topic as well, but it talks about a bunch of guys were in line to be the next CEO, and so the CEO gave them all seeds to take home, and the story says that basically Jim was like, he couldn't get his seed to grow, and so he kept watering it and fertilizing it and hoping it would grow. And everybody else would talk about their beautiful plants, and they get to the end of it and they all bring it in. And Jim has no plant, and everybody else has these beautiful plants. And the CEO says, he asks them to talk about their story. And the CEO says, "Congratulations, Jim, you're the next CEO. I gave you all seeds that couldn't grow. And you're the only one who told the truth." So you never know. What you think is the point may not be the point. I know that's totally random, but I just had to share it because I thought it was awesome.
Yeah, no, it's a great story. Right in line with that was when a new CEO took over a company, and a guy brought in a report, and the CEO said, "Come back in a couple hours." The guy did, and the CEO handed it to him, and he said, "Is this the best you can do?" The guy was like, "Well, let me take this back," and so the next day the guy brought it in, handed it to the CEO, and the guy said, "Well, check back with me in a couple of hours." And the guy came back, same thing. "Is this the best you can do?" The guy's like, off he went, and that night he spent hours going through every single page, and next day brought it in, handed it to the CEO, and said, check with me in a couple hours. The guy came back and the CEO says, this is the best you can do. And he's like, sir, I went through that for hours last night. I went through every single page. I don't know what I could do better. And the CEO said, good, then I'll read it. And the guy was like, what? And he said, if you're not willing to give me your best work, why should I waste my time reading it? If you're going to submit something to me, I want to know it's your best, not just something you whip together. We're laughing because Elijah keeps putting these amazing things in the chat, and now we get to read them, but you guys don't get to see them. So, listen, join us live. You don't even have to know how to spell NLP to be on here.
Is it okay if I respond to one of the questions that was put in the chat?
Oh no, that's but you got to tell what the question was. So that
Okay, so Mike posted in the chat, I think it was a really fascinating topic. Thinking about how effective the Vikings were in their conquests, their lifestyle was much harder, cutting through the forests and the cold and harsh climates versus the farming and communities. The more harsh the environment, the stronger the individual. Thoughts? So I thought it was a fascinating take. One of the thoughts that did pop into my head, because my first thought was, yeah, absolutely agree. And of course, there's also, I think, different, there's, why is Zoom giving me a notification? Anyway, there's, also a biology part of that, where when you have a harsh environment, you're also going to adapt to that environment as well. But there is one thought that also came to me that's true up to a point, as long as you don't push somebody to the point that you kill them. So I think there are some societies that are extinct now because, the world around them was so harsh that they couldn't survive. But, as they say, what doesn't kill you makes you stronger. Maybe even what kills you makes you stronger. You just have to be in a future life or something. But yes, I think we can push people too hard. But in general, taking on harder things makes you stronger.
absolutely. And
I love the way.
Lenore,
Go ahead.
No, go ahead, please. No, you
I
started.
was saying I love the way that Holly had said that. It's so interesting. Yes, I agree with that as a whole. I'm going to talk about it from an individual standpoint. There were many things that I did not think I could do. Many, many things. Had you known me 5, 6, 7 years ago, you wouldn't have known me, because this was not a part of my life. This was not something I would do, because I had so many other blocks going on. So when we try to do hard things by ourselves, there can be an inner critic that comes up, and the inner critic can come in all sorts of fun shapes, sizes, and voices. And it could make something even harder. So I love to encourage people to try things, but to also try things in a way that feels supported. Supported to me and safe go hand in hand, but not necessarily sitting on the couch in a ball, which I have done successfully. Finding ways to be supported, finding somebody that's saying, it's okay, keep going, I'm right here with you. Almost as if you were going to do a workout, you had somebody there coaching you and talking you through those hard moments, not yelling at you, not criticizing you, not shaming you, not putting you down, talking with you through those moments. When you're looking at something and saying, I have something so scary that is somewhat exciting to me, but more scary to the point that I'm not going to tell you. And that person, that coach, that therapist, that guide, whatever it is, that friend saying, it's okay. You can still look at it. I'm right here with you. I find that to be incredibly powerful because it helps take people who were not strong and move them incrementally in the direction that they want to go, ultimately helping them become stronger and stronger for their own survival and stronger to help other people as a collective, as a whole, as whatever you would like to take it and however you would like to take it. If you don't feel like you were strong in a certain area, I highly recommend finding somebody that can support you. And when we say support, there's no shame, there's no judgment, there's no criticism, there's no hate, there's no putting you down, there's nothing. Support is completely different. And that is a difference that makes all the difference.
Couldn't agree more. And one of my squirrels brought up an interesting study that I had read a while back, and it pointed out that the younger generations right now have so much more fear and anxiety for a number of reasons. But ironically, one of the ones that they pointed out was from they called it something to, I'm paraphrasing now, the no pain generation, because they were so coddled. And oh well, hold on, baby, you're gonna take your bicycle out? Okay, well, we got to make sure that you've got your helmet and your goggles and your gloves and your elbow pads and your shoulder pads and your knee pads and your hip pads and your thick bicycle shoes and your training wheels. And Mom, I'm 13. I know. And a couple of us have commented a number of times, when's the last time you saw a kid in a cast, with a cast on their arm? Growing up, we always had somebody in our class that had a cast on something, but we also had the 2-story high stainless steel slide that you could do Mach 3 in the wintertime, or you could get a nice skin graft in the summertime. And we had the swings that were 2 stories high that you could fly with the greatest of ease and land and break one of your knees. And we had the monkey bars that, somebody inevitably, of course, during lunch break while we were out playing in dangerous environment would get hurt. But it taught us a lot of the lessons that we desperately need growing up about facing fears and realizing, yes, you can get hurt and heal and hurt and heal and hurt and heal and hurt and heal. And some of the dumber ones got hurt more. And some of us were smart enough to go, Billy did that twice and got hurt both times. I think I will avoid that. And so that was one of the interesting parts about the no pain generations. And we're blessed to have a beautiful lady join us again from across the pond, way down yonder. So happy to see you guys joining us. Oh, squirrel. I forgot the last time we were on here, last week. I had a little memory show up on Facebook before it got hacked that it was the anniversary of me doing a training in Sydney. Yeah, so I forgot, we got so wrapped up last week and time flew just like it did now. Fran showed up. Yeah, Elijah. Hi, Fran. Bye, Fran. Oh, well, at least we got the recordings. So we covered some really cool stuff. Hopefully it was, hopefully you guys got something out of it. And for those of you watching live on YouTube, love you, Mom. And for those of you watching the recording, thank you so much for watching to the end. Please share these. Oh, yeah. Elijah, don't get us started on the daylight saving scam we got going on here. If I still had access to my Facebook page, I would put on my favorite meme every year. The Indian chief, when explained daylight savings time, replied with, "Only white man would cut 1 foot off of top of blanket and sew to bottom to make it longer." And Arizona here in the States is going, we haven't played that game for a long time. You all can just deal with it. They don't do it. So anyhow, back to time. We're out of time. Thank you for your time. I appreciate your time. I will thank you guys every week for investing your precious commodity here. Hopefully we can all get back together for 2 hours all together next week. Same bat time, same bat channel, same amazing people. Love you all. Bye.
Good night.